Let's play. What's guys, Pokemon here, episode 36 of my Minecraft Let's Play series. Holy crap. Okay, well, this past week has been kind of crazy. Um I'm trying to think back. I don't remember anything that happened when I was filming my last episode. I really don't. I think I showed off what I did with the water, what I did with the river, building the river, to my outpost so then I could have like a little waterway to my main base. Um, and that's about all I did. I haven't done much else in the actual world, so that's okay. But yeah, let's just see. First of all, almost never is an interesting concept. Yeah, it is. Just gonna go ahead and agree with that. Um, it definitely is. Almost never. I think I see on SATs a lot. Speaking of SATs, that should be coming back in what, 2 days? I think October 26th. So yeah, October 28th. I should get back what I got on my very first SAT. Hoping, gunning for 2,000 or higher. I do that. I think I might have mentioned this before, but I do that. I'm set. Basically for whatever college is within my grade and ACT range. My grades do not exactly match my ACT score. Like I got lower grades than my ACT score. At least the pattern should allow for. So it's very interesting that I did that. Basically my grades should be higher than they already are. Moving on from that, yeah, I don't remember what I did last time. I don't remember what I did. I think I said that I was going to work on clearing the forest out more. Spoiler alert, I didn't do that. Uh, hmm. Trying to think of what we could do that would be fun. You know what? Let's build something. Let's build something randomly. First, although there's a lot of stuff to mention in this video. What did I do Thursday? I don't remember. See, I don't remember what a lot of it happens. A lot of stuff will happen in my life, and I'll just be like, "Yep, right over my head." It's kind of bizarre, kind of, sort of. Gotta go back and get dirt, but it could definitely be interesting at the same time. Certain relationships, certain people have definitely evolved over the past few months. My tall German friend, as I keep referring to her, me and her have gotten close. It's nice. Um, and then other people got into relationships, and it's always a happy time at least in the marching band. So many people have been made happy by other people, and that's always good. I mean, I've definitely spent a good part of my high school career making other people happy. I do have another friend that I'll refer to as my widow Korean ninja. I definitely tried my best to make her happy, as much as possible. I've offered to be there for her multiple times. I've actually been there for her multiple times, and she's just an all-around, just amazing person. And I'm not. I try not to get like too sentimental when I talk about people because the last time I did that, it really creeped the person out. But yeah, that's exactly how she is. And it's just people like that do matter a lot to me. There are a lot of people in my life that matter a lot to me, but she is definitely one of them. I hope I displayed that. Anyway, football on Friday. I think we won. I think it was 32-16 was the final score, so we did good. I think our team is somewhat set for the high school playoffs. If any of you guys care about that, that just means more football games for us, essentially, which I'm always happy about. I genuinely enjoy the football games mostly. Of course, someone on Skype is desperately trying to get my attention right now. It's like, nope, I'm in the middle of something. I'll talk to you after, essentially. It's a Snowy. He's awesome in his own right, honestly. He's not exactly popular on his end, but he's popular in my book, at least. Me and him, we do have like our disagreements, but hey, friends do. You know, I do like to consider him one of my good friends. Definitely from across the country. He lives in Oregon. I happen to know like 3 or 4 people from Oregon by now. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool. Just that I know people. If you guys are probably been able to tell by now, I don't meet people for personal gain. Usually, when I meet a new person, it's awesome. I make a new friend, I learn a new point of view on the world. I get usually more information, more not only about that person, but about something that they do with their life. Whether that's they play a video game, they play a sport, they do a fundraiser, they volunteer, that sort of stuff. A lot of my age group is volunteering for stuff, mostly for college, but mostly for just out of goodness of their heart. Sometimes there's a lot of honor societies. I think a lot of our clubs in my school now require community service to be a club. So it's just it's crazy. But it's crazy in a good way. The high school life is definitely fun. At the end of the day, all the drama, all the craziness, it's still fun. Like, I usually get really, really hampered for saying that. People usually look at me like I have three heads, but it is fun. I mean, at least I find it fun. I find it enjoyable. Not so much the drama side, that's not really my thing. I don't like causing drama with other people simply because when I had to deal with it on Evening, it was like the worst thing in the world. It was basically like a venom, and it destroyed everything we tried to build. And that's usually what drama is. It is usually a destructive factor, and there is always drama going on in the marching band. That's another thing. When you have 110 teenagers, a lot of them girls, and a lot of them girls with attitudes, there will be some drama. And those girls with attitudes aren't girls that I interface with on a normal basis. It's usually like that. We have our different sections of the marching band. There's the flute section. There's the clarinet section. There's trombones, tubas, trumpets. I'll just go through all the instruments. We got saxophones, alto, and tenor saxophone. That took me a little while because I think I kept thinking of Barry, but Barry is the big saxophone. Anyway, we got that. I think I'm missing only a few of them. We got baritones too, trombones and tubas. I'm obviously trombone. My section only has one girl actually, and that's the tall German friend. And of course, me and her have gotten along well. Anyway, a lot of the girls in our band, they are sort of these drama, sort of destruction machines, essentially. And basically, every time you talk to them, you get wrapped up in this huge, massive issue that they got themselves into, and it's the most annoying thing in the world. Not only that, they're usually very rude about it. You got your color guard, you got your pit, which is the just basically standing instruments. What I mean by that is they're the instruments that don't march. So you got your marimba, bass drum, not bass drum. I apologize. There's a version of the bass drum that does march. It's pretty cool, especially when you have to carry the heaviest one. Hats off to the guy who has to do that. It's heavy, and he does it really well too. I haven't exactly talked to him a whole bunch. Me and him don't exactly get along very well, but when I do talk to him, it's okay. Um, but yeah, no, one of the sections, and there's the color guard, which is all girls. That's the section I'm talking about, which it's a minefield of drama, and that gets old. That gets annoying. I know. Again, I'm not gonna make this a ranting video, but I'll offer to if one of them is looking down or depressed, I'll be like, what's wrong? Can I do anything to help? And they're just like, no, go away, and just all this sort of stuff. And they just generally have bad attitudes towards 90% of the band. I apologize, all of the guys. Um, which I don't get why. I sort of get why, but then I just sort of don't get why. It's interesting. Of course, in my freshman year, I knew almost all the guard members. Now I don't. I sort of stay away. Um, and it's just they are an important part of the band, though. Anyone who says the color guard is completely useless, not really. I mean, the color guard is sort of the visual aspect of a marching band. Like you got the visuals that we sometimes do, but unless you're a dedicated visual marching band, you're not going to be doing the kind of stuff that that allows you to stand alone without a color guard. Because color guard are basically the flag twirlers. They work with rifles. They work with sabers, which are swords, and then they work with flags. Sometimes they also work just alone. I remember one prop that we had one year was a newspaper. It works with whatever they can throw together. They have different uniforms every year, etc. Yeah, they are still somewhat an important part, but it's just filled with drama, and it just gets old very very quickly. Anyway, that was my major point on that one. That was the sort of drama filled group, essentially. Um, it does suck to be that kind of group, you know. It does suck to have to deal with that every day. I couldn't imagine dealing with that. And obviously, what girls have to deal with, the guys don't. Glad I'm a guy. I don't know how many times I've said that this year. I'm just glad. I'm happy to be a guy. I'm proud of it. It's amazing. There's almost no worries, at least for me personally. Um, but again, any guy going through high school, there's not a massive amount of worry. I mean, if you're not socially adept, sort of like I am, then there are a lot of worries. But I can usually have a comfortable conversation with anybody. Just the issue is that person usually judges me within the first 5 minutes and calls me weird or creepy or something like that. So that's my issue. Basically, judgmental people, and then what's even better is people say don't judge them, and then they judge you. It's interesting. It's interesting how people's minds work and what they will say to qualify their actions. It's a very important thing. Just watch the philosophy that some people have. You know, um, it's very interesting. It's interesting how different people see the world. I know many of my friends and I haven't exactly seen eye to eye on everything, but that's what makes it interesting. What differences do we see? And this one friend in particular, this annoys the hell out of her when I ask, like, oh, why do you think this? Why do you think this? What about this? Why does this not work with this? It's just, it blows her up pretty quickly. And of course, she says that she's different. I was like, people definitely change through high school. When people are in freshman year, they are who they are, and by the time they hit sophomore, junior, then senior year, they are basically a very different person. I've seen that change happen already with a lot of people. Not necessarily negative, but yes, with some of them negative. Definitely some people have gone through a negative change. But also some people have gone through a positive change, like people getting their braces off. That's always a really positive thing that lifts people's self-confidence. Because that's a massive thing to deal with for a few years, and then boom, you're a completely different person. People start to actually recognize you, and it's weird. Guys don't talk to girls with braces on, but the second those braces come off, they're like, oh, hello, who's this person? Um, it's kind of weird how that works. But I also get it. I sort of get why that happens. I'm not the person to do that, but I understand why it happens, and that's usually 90% of how I am. I'm not willing to indulge in something, but I get why people do it. Here's a good example. What a lot of people do before tests, or just in general, they will. And I had actually had a conversation with a few people about this in one of my classes. This is a really good conversation. We were talking about like ADD medication and whatnot, and Adderall did come up, but it's just that the guy I was talking to. There was one guy in the conversation who I've known since like 7th grade, but the other guy I was talking to, this is the top guy in our class, at least in my opinion. Yeah, there are people who are smarter as far as academically, but they're not as socially adept as he is, because he is very. It's really really interesting. I can count this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 9 should be the middle, shouldn't it? Yeah, we'll go with 9 being the middle. Okay. There we go. So a door and 2 windows is what that's going to end up being. No, but this guy, again, top of our class in my opinion, and which is a really interesting conversation. He knew a lot about it. Is sort of what I'm getting at, and he didn't seem to be the kind of person who did know a lot about it. So, because a really interesting conversation. Of course, he was also very diplomatic when I was obviously being an idiot. He sat down and he really talked about it. He talked about it in an objective way. He wasn't against it, but he wasn't for it. He was sort of saying, "This is exactly what it is. You know, think about it as you would. You know, decide, make your own opinion, make your own judgment call." And that's sort of how he's been. He hasn't won like any massive student elections or anything, but I assume if he was to run for that, he would win almost immediately. Um, simply because he's just that kind of person. He's also a popular person. It's just his demeanor, I think, is really what I'm starting to get at. I'm not going to ramble about him much longer, but just another person in my life that's sort of like, hey, this guy's a bit of a bamf, you know? Bamf award. There's one girl that I know that doesn't appreciate that, but hey, I will do things that people won't appreciate every once in a while. Speaking of that one girl, she's really stressed out now, but she won't tell me why. Don't you hate that? Don't you hate when people are like, oh, I'm really stressed out? Not going to tell you why. It's like, you shouldn't have mentioned it because now I'm going to be thinking about it the rest of the day. Whatever, you know. Let people deal with their issues, how they'll deal with them. I personally don't talk to a lot of people about stuff anymore soon because I don't know if I can trust people. Last year I was very trusting. This year, not so much. Because people don't shut up. Here's the thing about if you want to learn about high school. People don't know to shut their trap. It's really, really funny until it kills you. I say that dramatically because that can sometimes be what happens. It doesn't like literally kill you, like physically, but it can really ruin your reputation in a lot of areas. And, if you let people in, you have to be able to trust them, and then if they betray you, that usually costs you, time spent with other people. Maybe they'll turn other people against you, et cetera, et cetera. And then that all ties into just high school being high school, Again, it's a very complicated thing. But moving on from that, moving on to some more happier topics. Marching band. This past weekend, we went to a competition. I think it was the Providence Cup. We did okay. I felt that our run of the show. I mean, when we marched it, I felt it was pretty solid. I didn't make any massive mistakes. I was marching quite well this time. I personally did not have any of the hiccups that I normally have. Because of one, some of the people that help us when we're practicing, they'll usually get impatient when people make the same mistakes over and over again. I was one of those people. For whatever reason, I could not. When you have to march backwards, you have to march like on the toes of your feet as best as you can. I sometimes don't do that. I let the back of my foot hit the ground. One of the people getting very annoyed at that. I didn't do that once. That's just one little thing. We didn't win many trophies, but hey, it's not about the trophies sometimes. It's about just having a good time. I always agree with that. Like, hey, did we enjoy ourselves? Did we have a good time? Did we, did we learn something? Obviously we did. But did we enjoy the time that we spent with one another performing and just being who we are? And the answer to that was yes, and so then we did good. That's how that works for me. Of course, a lot of people are materialistic and a lot of people want those trophies. I understand that. But trophies aren't everything. Winning is not everything. But with the gamer culture today, that is what it is. Winning is everything. Speaking of gamer culture, there's another big thing I did this weekend. It's a little charity thing. It's called Extra Life. It was happening October 25th and October 26th. 8 a.m. to 8 a.m., that whole thing. I couldn't participate in the whole thing. We did have a marching band competition in the middle of it. But I did as much as I could. I personally did not raise any money, but the team that I was working with did. We raised, I think, about $30,000 with all of our combined efforts. It was basically, it's playing video games for 24 hours to benefit children's hospitals across the nation. And the live stream that I watched a little bit of was the Rooster Teeth live stream. I mentioned Rooster Teeth a lot. They raised close to $500,000. That was a 24-hour live stream that they did. And because of their community, they raised $500,000. When I saw their total, like hour 20, I'm like, they can't do this. They did it. They blew all expectations. They were not expecting to raise that much money at all. And that was also with a special poster that they were selling. as well. It was like a periodic table version of like all their favorite shows and all their different characters and whatnot. It was really creative. Sales from that, the proceeds went to benefit their total as well. So that's how they got to the $500,000 mark. Basically, people watching the live stream can donate, and when they hit certain amounts, they were doing certain things. They played Twister at one point. Mac and Cheese got all over the Twister board. It was just a really fun 24 hours, and I think one or two people, Jack Patillo, who really wanted to do it, who was very excited for Extra Life, he stayed there all 24 hours and just kicked butt. How about that? He did awesome. Of course, a lot of the other staff was there. I missed some of it because of marching band, but again, our team raised I think about $30,000. So it was rewarding. I was working with Tryon, which is the company who makes Rift, which I've mentioned I think a few times on here. Speaking of Rift, I finally got back into it a little bit. They had the 3.0 update, which extended the levels and gave us a whole bunch of new stuff, so I'll be getting into that. And yeah, it's just been a really fun and exciting weekend. Very rewarding weekend working with a lot of great people. Again, all the marching band people that I have watching these videos, there are a good few of you. Thanks for being awesome. People in Rift who watch these videos, thanks for being awesome. The guys that I meet through the community, thank you for being awesome. The guys, that I meet on the forums of different websites, you know who you are. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for watching these. And yeah, I just built this little stone house for whatever reason. No idea what I'm gonna use it for yet. I just built it, I just figured, hey, let's have a little project. And we did. And we built this house together, ladies and gentlemen. And again, this could expand into something. I just wanted to get something going. I haven't built in this little town in quite a while. But you can see that my building style is very similar. So I'll have to really sort of get out of my comfort zone a little bit when I'm building other buildings. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a little bit more structured than the last ones have been. It was definitely more enjoyable to film the last one. The last one was a bit of a drag. Simply because I didn't have anything planned. I didn't really know what to do. But this one I was just like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's rattle this off. And I was ready to go. Obviously, last week of marching band this week. That's depressing. The last week of my high school marching band career. If I'm doing marching band in college, this is the last time I'll be marching with a marching band. Unless I do like a drum corps or something, which isn't very likely. I mean, I know a few people who are doing drum corps stuff, and they might be able to get me into it. But I just really enjoy it. I think the most thing I enjoy most about it is the people. Because I've met some really just amazing people through marching band. I mean, I bring this up a lot. I mean, Kat's one of them. Koda's one of them. The Tall German Friend's one of them. The Korean Ninja is one of them. Obviously, these aren't any of their real names. I'm just sort of giving code names so they know that I mentioned them. But it's just it's incredible. I mean, without marching band, I would not be where I am socially. Might be a lot farther behind. With that, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up here. I might upload a thing for Extra Life. I'm not sure yet, just to sort of say, hey, this is a thing I did. I enjoyed it, etc. Thank you guys for watching episode 36 of my Minecraft Let's Play series. As promised, new content will be coming after Marching Band is over, but not immediately. I'd like to enjoy this last week. It's just gonna be tough. The last week. There is 6 hours. Then you got Friday, which is an away game. And you've got Saturday. And that's it. So... And Friday is Halloween, which we get off. So it's a good 2 days left of total time. And one of those days is not even spent with the entire marching band, because not the entire marching band goes to an away game. So it's going to be tough to say goodbye to that lifestyle a little bit. Hopefully I can do it in college, but who knows. On that note, guys, you guys are awesome. And until next time, Let's stop.